Thanks for joining us here for another video from Howard Piano Industries. Today we're going to be showing you how to do what's part of the rebuilding of hammer butts, upright hammer butts process, and that's replacing the hammer butt leather and the hammer butt felt. Okay, so oftentimes in an old piano, those parts are things that definitely need to be replaced because they get worn, felt, leather, and so forth. Because they're flexible parts, they tend to get worn down more than other parts. So we're going to show you here. We've got a hammer and a shank, and then here's the butt. Here's the catcher. Here's the flange and so forth. So, but we're going to be replacing this this part right here, as well as this red felt here. This is the hammer butt felt, and this is the upright or vertical hammer butt leather. So we're going to show you how to replace that. Basically, if we were going to take a close look up or close-up look here at what the different parts are. Again, here we've got the hammer butt felt, and when you replace that, we've got a couple different thicknesses in hammer butt felt, two different thicknesses, and then right here is the hammer butt leather. Okay, and then underneath the leather, they have some under felt. Okay, and there's some different configurations. This one has two thin pieces, you can see, one right here, and then another one right there. And so when you're replacing that, if you're going to replace that felt, which if you're going through this, probably a good idea to do that, replace it with the same thickness as you're taking out. Here we're showing you a brand new hammer butt, hasn't been used before, but so everything is in new condition. But this one has a piece of white thinner underfelt right there. I don't know if you can see that very well in the video, but then it's got a thicker underfelt there. So just finding the felt that's going to be the right thickness and dimension for replacing that is important. Now these ones that I've got that are old and worn out, these are from an old piano from the early 1900s. So here I've taken one that I've already removed the hammer butt felt, and we're going to be showing you how to replace that. I've removed the underfelt. This is from the same piano as the first one I showed you, and the bridle strap in this one's already been replaced, but this one originally had standard bridle straps. But what you're going to do once you've removed the felt, and what you might have to do is I would just use a X-Acto knife, some sharp utility knife with a small blade, and you want to scrape off, any of the old felt so that it's nice and smooth there, where the old hammer butt felt is and wherever the underfelt was. So you want to remove that, and then basically it's just cutting the pieces to the right size and gluing them on. Okay, one tool that I find to be real helpful is our hammer felt cutter. Or our felt cutting tool, I should say, because what it does is it's got this adjustable block that sets it so that you can get it to the right dimension. So that's what I find. Otherwise, you can use sometimes if you've got a rotary cutter, that works real well. Just something that you can do so that you can get the right size. Okay, for this one, I found that key bushing cloth seemed to be the right width. So cutting that, and it seems I found key bushing cloth comes in several different thicknesses. So it's I found a thickness that's going to match the underfelt of the original. So what I just do, I've already set this. I measured the thickness or the width of the old underfelt. Okay, and that was about 3/16 of an inch. So I set my block here so that it that'll cut the piece though, so that it's 3/16 of an inch. So I just set that in there. Keep your fingers out of the way when you're using the felt cutting tool, and it doesn't always cut it all the way through. So, but it does score it real good, so that you can just use a small scissors to cut the rest of the way through. So there we've got a new piece of underfelt, and of course we need two of them because which I cut one previously, so those will go to replace the old underfelt. Okay, so what you're going to do is, some say not to glue the underfelt on, but I find just a small dab of glue is helpful. So, but before we do that, we're going to glue on the new leather. Okay, and I won't go through the whole process, but I'll just kind of walk you through what to do. This is the old leather. Okay, now leather has what's called a nap. Okay, a smooth and a rough side. If we take this new upright hammer butt leather, you can see that if I brush it one way, it's kind of a lighter color. If I brush it the other way, it's a little bit darker, but you can kind of see which is the smooth side. And what you want to do is, when you're installing the hammer butt leather, you want to have the smooth going away from the hammer butt felt, okay, or up toward the catcher. Okay, so the smooth should be going up. So when we put this on, I can see that it's smooth going in this direction. So I would glue it on going that way. Okay, so that's real important for the jack to function the best and give it a nice smooth feel for the jack. Okay, so then what you'll do is you'll measure the same thing. You'll set your measurement for the hammer button. Of course, when you cut these pieces, you're going to just want to cut all of them of the same type at once, so that since you've got to set your felt cutter. So you'll cut all your underfelts, and then you'll go through and set the measurement or the length for your hammer butt leather, and cut all those pieces. And then once you've got that cut, then what you're going to do is, this is still the old one, but I don't have the new one cut. So what you'll do is you'll put a little dab of glue, and of course, I didn't mention the hammer butt felt. Here we've got the hammer butt felt, so you'll cut new pieces of that as well. Okay, so again, here's the old one. You'll want to measure the dimension on that and cut pieces to fit for that. And so once you've got all your pieces cut and ready to glue on, then what you'll do is you'll put a little bit of glue. Now, probably the best glue to use for all these action parts that you're replacing is hot hide glue. You can use PVC-E glue for leather and felt, but if you're doing this type of work, it's usually recommended to use hot hide glue because it works real well. So what you'll do is you just put a little dab of glue. There's always a little bit of a slot for the end of the leather to go into. So you'll put a little dab of glue into that slot, and then put some glue on where the hammer butt felt is going to go. And then once you put that glue in there, you're going to push the end of the leather into that slot. Okay, and hold it there. If it's hot hide glue, it sets really fast, so you'll want to put your leather on then right away, or I'm sorry, your hammer butt felt on right away. Kind of push that in just to clamp it for a second, because it doesn't take long for hot hide glue to set. So once that's glued, now of course you just don't have the other end of your leather glued yet, but once you've done you can go through and do the whole set of the one end of the leather, and then the hammer butt felt, and then you'll go through, put a little dab of glue for your under leather or under felt, and place those in place, and then just put a little dab of glue at the other end for the other end of the leather. And once you've got that on there, as you can see, it's you got to do that 88 times, so it is a time-consuming process, but that's going to really make a difference in the performance of your piano by replacing those if they're well worn. So fairly simple process. It's just a lot of steps and a lot of things to go through, but with the right tools and parts, it's not a super complicated process. But if you have any questions about this or want to see our other videos, visit our website. It's howardpianoindustries.com.